Hello and welcome to Diary of a College Coach. My name is John Jansen, head men's basketball coach at La Sierra University, located here in Riverside, California. And today I want to talk about our game we had Saturday night. It was our first game since December, and this isn't really any kind of strategy or analytics. I just want to kind of talk about the game. And I'm going to first talk to you about our opponent. And our opponent was University of Redlands, the place that I got my college career started. I was a grad assistant there about 11 years ago, won a league title there, and I love it there. It's a beautiful school, beautiful campus, awesome fans, awesome supportive athletics. It's just a great place. And anyway, last year, the head coach there retired, Jim Ducey, good friend of mine, and they hired a guy from the NWAC, which is a Division III conference up in the Pacific Northwest, and his name is Eric Bridgeland. And the guy is a stud, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I did some research when he got the job, and I'm probably going to say a couple things minorly wrong, but it really doesn't matter. He took over at Puget Sound, 15 years ago. They were like the last place team. I don't know if I read they won one game one year or whatever. He won 3 straight titles with them. Then he takes over at Whitman, which is, if you know anything about Division III basketball, they've been a superpower for the last 10 years or 12 years or whatever it is. So he took over there, turned them into a top 5, top 10 team every single year. And they go to the tournament, Sweet 16, Elite 8, every year. And the guy just wins. And so he took over at Redlands, and I didn't even know until we decided to play them a couple weeks ago. I looked at their roster, and Redlands finished second place in the SCIAC, which is Southern California Division III Conference, last year. And he cut basically every player. He kept one guy who basically didn't play. He's a Pacific Northwest guy, so I assume he knew the guy already, and so he kind of said, okay. But other than that, he got rid of every single player. And so when he contacted me about playing, he's like, hey, do you want to play? We have nothing but freshmen and sophomores. And by freshmen and sophomores, he means 2 sophomores. And one of those sophomores is the kid from Redlands, and then the other sophomore is a guy he brought with him from Whitman who also really didn't play at Whitman. And so I started preparing for this game, and I started watching Whitman play. So I watched their games from last year, I watched their games from 2 years ago, and get a feel for what he does, because I assume he's going to do the same thing down here. And what he does is he doesn't really run an offense, and that's not an insult, that's actually a compliment. They basically go one-on-one, they attack you, they try to take you off the dribble, they spread the floor with 5 out, they try to take you off the dribble, and if you back off of them, they'll shoot the ball in your face. If you don't guard them properly on a drive, they'll pull up and shoot it in your face. And if you cut them off, they'll spin. That was gross. They all can do this spin move. So what they do is they come hard at you one direction, you cut them off, and then they immediately spin, and now they've got an advantage back going the other way. Now they're closer to the basket and a lot of times getting a bucket. And if you do a good job of cutting them off, they just kick it to somebody open, and that guy either shoots a 3 or he does the same thing and he drives. And he's got 5 guys on the floor who can shoot the piss out of it. He's got 3 to 4 guys who can drive the ball consistently all game for 40 minutes. And that's what they do on offense. And it's very impressive. And then, make or miss, they immediately get into a 2-2-1 press. And it's very impressive when they get into it off a miss, because they're just on you. You can't turn and break, because whoever gets the rebound, boom, that's the front of their press. And then from there, they just kind of match up from there and get into their positions. And so it kind of like takes away just turn and go when you get a defensive rebound. And the press is really good. You get tons of turnovers, and then they just attack, and they attack, and they attack, and they attack. And I'd say the most impressive thing about them now after playing them is how hard they play. And, in college basketball, in theory, everyone plays hard. When I was a high school coach and my teams always played really hard, my club teams played hard. When I got to college and I was assistant, I prided myself on teams playing hard. I've never seen a team play this hard. It was unbelievable. But anyway, so that's what he does. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, they have 8 freshmen and 2 sophomores. And so the next thing I did, preparing for the game, was to find these kids' high school tapes, high school highlight films, which I did. And they all look like good players. And I thought, okay, well, we should have a size advantage. We should have a strength advantage. Their tallest guy is 6'5". And those things were true, but man, these guys were better than I ever thought. And they were just so aggressive. They were great shooters. I mean, everybody on the floor was knocking down threes. I mean, you cut a guy off, boom, he skips it to the weak side, bang, 3. They hit 15 threes. They did shoot 40, which isn't a great percentage. But, I mean, the way they play is just fantastic. It simplifies basketball, and it just says, I'm going to find a weakness. And that's what they did also. So what they would do is, if they felt like they found a defensive weakness in your team, they would ball screen to that guy and make you switch, because if you didn't switch, they would just attack. And then they would try to attack your weaker defender. And so you're just basically there on an island on every single possession, one-on-one, with 4 shooters standing around. So if someone helps, they can kick to a guy who's wide open. And I'm telling you, look, we beat them, which is great for us. We beat them by 7. We were down for the first 35 minutes of the game. We took our first lead with about 5 minutes to go in the game. We ended up winning by 7. I think that's team right there with 8 freshmen and 2 sophomores is a top 4 team in most conferences. And what I failed to, well, I thought they would be good. I didn't think they would be that good, because I thought that they would be freshmen and they would be young and inexperienced, and for most of them it was their first ever college game. None of that was true. And then you have to remember, and then I remembered as soon as, while the game was going on, these weren't just Division III recruits. These were Division III recruits to a top 5 team in the country, because all of these guys had signed to go to Whitman, and when he came here, he brought them all with him. So he left that team intact at Whitman, but all the recruits he brought here with him to the University of Redlands. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine if those guys were at Whitman, those guys not playing, because they were all incredible players. I mean, yeah, of course there was probably 2 or 3 guys who were a little worse than everybody else, but their top 3, top 4 guys were fantastic players that could start on any team in Division III in the country. And it was just so impressive. And that team is going to be a nightmare to play for the next 4 years. I mean, look, we have a very experienced team. We have a bunch of seniors, a bunch of juniors, and our sophomore is our leading scorer. So we're pretty experienced. And I mean, those guys took it to us for 35 minutes. The difference in the game is that we were able to, I don't want to say figure out, because that's insulting to him, but we were able to do a better job in the second half of breaking their press. And we got a lot of layups in the second half. And we ended up scoring 65 second half. It was a run and gun shootout, because they press so much that if you beat it, you're getting an open shot. If they steal it, they're scoring. So, I mean, and then both teams were fouling because they're just attacking, and then we are an attack team too. So it was a high-scoring game. It was 109-102. And, at halftime, we were down 54-44. And I really, at no point did I think we were out of it. and we got down by as many as 14. We were down by 11 many times in the second half. But the entire time, I knew we could win the game, because in that kind of fast-paced game, a 10-point lead is nothing. It's a minute and a half, because you break their press, layup. You break their press, hit a three. All of a sudden, boom, there it's 6 if it was 11. You know what I mean? They miss a three, boom, layup. There you are. So I knew if they missed a few shots, we could get back in the game. And I knew if we broke their press a little bit better than we did in the first half, then we'd have a really good chance. So at halftime, we had 16 turnovers, which led to 22 points for them. We missed 10 free throws in the first half because our guys were exhausted. I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, these guys were just coming at you, and our guys were exhausted, and it made us miss shots. We were 2 for 12 from 3 at halftime. So I'm thinking to myself, we missed 10 free throws. We missed 10 threes. We've only made 2. We had 16 turnovers, and we're down 10. So all of those things, and I know people always say that. You see it on the NBA all the time. They go, oh, this team's doing this and this and this. But a lot of times, well, that's just who you're going to be that day. But I really felt that if we could break the press, we would get such high percentage shots that even though they made a bunch of threes, eventually they were going to miss a few. And if we could keep getting layup after layup, then we'd have a great chance. And that's kind of how it played out. I think it was a very tough game for the refs to call because it was so physical. I mean, both teams were just attacking each other. I mean, they could have called a foul on every possession. And they're in you. I mean, you don't have a... we couldn't even breathe. It was fantastic. Like, I'm so man crush on this guy, Eric Bridgeland, because, I mean, you couldn't even breathe. The second you had a ball, there was a guy on you, maybe 2. No matter where you were on the floor. I mean, they just flew around. They subbed every, and there wasn't like a system where they subbed the entire team. They would just sub a couple guys every couple minutes, and they just attacked and attacked and attacked. And it took us a while to kind of figure it out. And, I mean, look, we beat them. That's great. They're all freshmen. I can't imagine how good that team's going to be, not only when they're seniors, but when there's more amazing recruits coming in behind. So I'm so impressed with this guy. And look, he doesn't care. He doesn't need it from me. He knows he's an amazing coach. He's been successful everywhere he's been. But getting to see it firsthand with a bunch of freshmen was absolutely just, I mean, the entire game I was, we were down 10 and I'm laughing because these guys are playing so hard and, we're fighting with them. And I thought we played pretty good. But every time we got it to 4, these guys would just 3. And then all of a sudden it's back to 10 and you're just like, can you guys miss one, And, it took 35 minutes, 33 minutes. They kind of missed a couple. That's how we got back into it. And we finally were able to get a couple stops and work our way back into the game. So that's it. We're hopefully going to play them again this Friday if we can get it all worked out. And that's it. I just wanted to talk about Eric Bridgeland. If you don't know who he is, I would check him out. Watch his videos on Synergy if you have access. Watch his videos on the internet. I'm sure they're on there somewhere. Because the guy can coach, and it's a treat to see kids play that hard. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.